What is going on, guys? Miles here, and recently the second and final beta for Black Ops 4 multiplayer ended, so I decided to make a video kind of sharing my thoughts on the game and how I feel like it could be improved for the full game in October. So I'll begin with a few notes on the performance of the game, which to be honest I did feel was kind of bad. On my PS4 often I had some frame rate issues in like the final kill, but this wasn't as bad in the second weekend when compared to the first weekend, and also I felt like the loading times in the game lobby as well as when the map was loading was pretty damn long. But I'm not going to complain too much about these issues because I feel like they're probably going to be improved if not completely solved by the game's full release in October. As for the weapons in the game, to be honest, I felt like the weapon balancing was pretty good actually. Out of all the weapons I used, which was pretty much all of the ones I unlocked, there wasn't a single weapon where I was like, this weapon is complete trash and I'll never use it again. I did manage to get some decent gameplays with like every weapon I used, so I was quite surprised just how good the weapon balancing actually was. But I saw a lot of people complaining about the MOG 12 shotgun, saying it was really underpowered because you usually had to get a 2-bullet kill with the weapon. And to be honest, I don't think the MOG 12 is actually underpowered in this game, because Black Ops 4 clearly has a higher time to kill than like any of the other Call of Duty games, at least in the recent past. So generally, if the time to kill is high in the game, then insta-kill weapons such as shotguns and snipers are going to be really overpowered. So I don't feel like the MOG 12 needs to be a consistent one-shot kill to be a viable weapon in the game. And because of the long time to kill in the game, I feel like it's fairly easy to get 2 pumps off with the MOG 12 if you're in a 1-on-1 situation. But speaking of insta-kill weapons, to be honest, I did feel like snipers are a little bit on the overpowered side, at least on console. And that means they're going to be super overpowered when you're playing on PC, because obviously on PC you can have way more precise aim, and so the insta-kill weapons with snipers are going to be insanely powerful. But to be honest, I'm not exactly sure how Treyarch should go by nerfing snipers, because if you have bolt action snipers which aren't a one-shot kill, then I feel like they're just going to be dead content. So I don't really know how they can address this issue of snipers and their one-shot kill insta-kill mechanics, if you will. I feel like the red dot sight on snipers in particular is kind of overpowered, and maybe they could increase the ADS time, but I'm not exactly sure what they should do. And one other weapon which I did feel like was maybe a little bit higher than all the others in terms of power was the burst tactical rifle. I believe it was called the ABR, but I'm not exactly sure. I did feel like this weapon was a little bit too powerful, and I feel like Treyarch should maybe nerf it a little bit by maybe giving it a bit more kick, as well as reducing the hipfire accuracy. As for weapon attachments, Black Ops 4 for the first time in any Call of Duty has weapon-based attachments rather than weapon class-based attachments. So this means basically every assault rifle in the game may not have the exact same attachments, and I think this is quite a unique feature, and overall I think it's a good change. It makes balancing weapons easier, and it adds a bit more of a tactical element in there, because if you're playing against a bunch of people using the armor gear, then obviously you want to have armor piercing rounds, but only certain weapons in the game can have those rounds, so that kind of adds a bit of a tactical element and counterplay in there, which I think is pretty good overall. I think the whole operator mod system is quite cool as well, as it adds another layer of like uniqueness to all the weapons in the game. So I do like the concept of these operator mods, but the problem I have with them is that they seem to be kind of expensive currently, because you have to max out your weapon first, and then you have to equip the wild card, and then you have to spend 2 points to get this operator mod. So you're spending 3 points overall, which I feel like is a bit too expensive, and I think they should probably lower it down to 2 total points spent. But moving on to the maps, I believe the beta featured 6 maps in total, which is pretty good for a beta. I believe World War II only had like 4 or 5 maps in the beta, so we got a lot of content, and overall I thought the maps were fairly well designed. Treyarch went with the classic 3-lane system, which is good for competitive play, and it also works out fairly well in public matches. But I will say the maps did feel a little bit small in my opinion, and I think the reason for that is because they were designed for a 5v5 scenario, and Treyarch decided to make it 6v6 in the last minute or something, so the maps feel a little bit small, and with the movement system it can be pretty chaotic at times, but I think the overall design is pretty good. But moving on to the score streaks, I felt like these were a little bit underwhelming, to be honest, and the main reason for that is because most of the streaks in Black Ops 4 just felt like recycled streaks from Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3. We have the RCXD, the UAV, the care package, the sentry gun, the Hellstorm, the lightning strike, the attack chopper, the gunship, and all of these are streaks which we saw in Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3, so I felt like they were a little bit underwhelming, and I was hoping Treyarch would come up with some like new creative streaks, and hopefully they will do so before the full game is released. And as for the specialists, I have kind of mixed opinions on these because Treyarch have clearly redesigned these specialists in a way to suit more of a competitive game rather than like a casual game in Black Ops 3, and I think this will work out well for like the esports side of CoD, but I feel like some of these specialists don't really fit into the casual side because a lot of the specialists in the game are based around team play. We have things like the TAC deploy from Seraph, we have the barricades and the ammo packs, and all of these kind of require communication with your teammates to work. But the thing is, in casual Call of Duty, usually if you're playing solo, you're going to have all of your teammates muted because they probably won't have mics, and if they do, they will be quite obnoxious, so there aren't really any communications in regular CoD public matches, so the specialists don't really seem to be a good fit for casual multiplayer, but I do look forward to watching them in the competitive scene. And finally, for some smaller aspects of the game, I felt like the movement system was really good actually, and it's probably about as good as it can get for a boots on the ground CoD, because it still feels fast paced, it's not sluggish at all, and obviously there aren't the jetpacks, so we have kind of the best of both worlds in that sense. But I do think the sliding nerf which was made in week 2 of the beta should be reverted to the week 1 state, because I felt like sliding wasn't actually a problem in the first week of the beta, and the only problem was the constant bunny hopping, so I feel like the sliding nerf should be removed, but I think the movement system overall is pretty amazing. Fog of War, in my opinion, was a pretty strange introduction to Call of Duty. I don't really like it, but at the same time I don't really dislike it. I'm kind of confused, to be honest, as to why it was added into the game, and I think that the current state of Fog of War is fairly flawed because it gives you vision in 360 degrees around you in a circle, which is kind of strange because obviously at one time you're only going to be looking in one direction, so I definitely think if Fog of War remains in the game, which I know it's going to, they should definitely nerf it by only giving you vision in the direction you're looking in. But there we have it, they are my thoughts on Black Ops 4 multiplayer after playing the 2 weekends of the beta which has just finished. Overall, I think it's going to be a really good Call of Duty as long as it gets a few changes to do with like the score streaks and maybe some of the specialists a little bit. But I can't wait to play the game again in October, as well as the Blackout beta coming only in September. Let me know what you think down in the comments below of this game. Do you agree with me or disagree? And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more, but I'll see you guys in another video.